How does a podcast fit into what you do?
I do advisor work for the mining companies in operational excellence.
Hey everybody, welcome to an episode of Podcasting with Influence, powered by Influencer TV. I'm your host, Brian Allen. This podcast is really for people that are, thinking about getting into podcasting. Maybe you listen to a lot of podcasts yourself, and that's how you consume a lot of your information. And you think it might be a good way to get your message out for yourself or your company or whatever the case is. And you're thinking about a podcast maybe, or you have a podcast already, right? And let's face it, there's always room for improvement, right? So the show is really to highlight others, right, in all types of industries. I'm really just interested in having interesting conversations and getting experiences that maybe you can identify with and say, you know what, I've been there. Those are some of my concerns, or, hey, that's a great idea. Maybe I need to incorporate that into my show. I like what they're doing, right? So all those things. So really, today I want to introduce Alp Bora. All right, this man is on a mission to make mining sustainable. Alp is awesome. We've had several conversations together. He's got a TED Talks that's really fascinating, and I ran into him a few months ago, and we were talking about doing some podcasting stuff. And he's got his own podcast that he had started, and he's doing a lot of really cool things. So, Alp, number one, welcome to the show, sir.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, absolutely. Well, thanks for being here. Look, the first thing I want to kind of jump into is, in terms of a podcast for you and what you do, and you do a lot of speaking engagements, right? You do advising, but you do these speaking engagements. And one, I'm curious as to, what led you into thinking about, hey, I need to get a podcasting. You're already doing these speaking engagements. You're already in front of people. So, why did a podcast come to your mind?
Yeah. I was requested by one of my clients to do this for their company, meaning that I would interview them in the first place. So this is how it all came to fruition. Didn't even think about it because I know the work that's required to make a podcast, week after week or a month after month. It is a lot of work. In this case, from the get-go, I knew it was a lot of work, so I started doing this based on a demand. So once I did the first episode, a couple of other of my clients said, yeah, I'm interested in that as well. Can we do this? I said, sure. Suddenly look at 3, 4, 5 episodes, but nevertheless, my initial feeling about the amount of work that goes into it, it's still valid. Man, it's so much work.
Well, right. Yeah, no, and I get it. But, the thing is with podcasting, yes, there's a lot of work that needs to be done and you need to be consistent. But at the same time, where I see a lot of people get stuck is the planning phase, right? The just getting started and just doing something, right? A lot of people, kind of analysis paralysis and get stuck in trying to make every little thing perfect. And when in reality, sometimes it's best to just hit record and go, even if you don't have the ideal setup.
I agree with that.
Like, you agree with that?
Okay. I agree with that. And Brian, I never knew I was a perfectionist because I am not, up until the moment came that I'm editing my podcast and I want it to be like square. And I realized, oh man, look at the time I'm spending at editing. That's kind of that's where I get discouraged about the work that goes into it, and which led to our conversation, right? About this is not my core business. I'm not a podcaster. That's not my day job. I do consulting, I advisory, speaking. Podcast is one of the things, which led to the conversation we had earlier on a couple months ago. Maybe outsourcing pieces of it, right?
Yeah, well, and to speak on that though, I'm curious. Right, so you're in the mining industry, right? So walk me through though your mindset. Like, how does a podcast fit into what you do?
I do advisor work for the mining companies in operational excellence. It's a fancy term. In a short, it is that I go and help them with their production requirements, production challenges, be it with respect to cost, operations, maintenance, etc. So that's the work I do. Now, how does podcast fit in that? It's more around the surroundings of the mining industry. So there are the communication challenges we are having, the perception of the industry, which is always negative. The how can we innovate the current practices so we are being more green, more environmental friendly, more sustainable. So the podcasts were about around that subject. On what I'm most interested in the podcasting in the mining industry is about the changing the perception of the mining industry. And we had this conversation also. I say mining, people hear cryptocurrency. No, I'm talking about the real mining,
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. The other thing is when I say mining, okay, you're the bad guy. Like, all right, So I'm working on. I wanted to change that perception. Enter podcasting. So that's how it started. Then of course there is a big. It's a big industry and it's a very capital intensive industry. It takes a lot of money. So there's also the aspect of getting the investors in the early stage junior mining companies, which is its own branch in the podcasting.
Well, and specifically though, in terms of growing your brand, growing your message, things of that nature. How do you see though from a business side? How do you see a podcast being useful?
Yes. As a consulting firm, I get a boutique consulting firm, meaning that we are 10 plus employees. It's another league in itself. It's not Accenture's or McKinsey's league. It is I call us the scavengers. Not a very, very pleasant term, but it's what it is. We go in there and kind of get the niche topics that usually big boys, big companies don't get in, or either too priced or whatever the reason, right? So that's the kind of the consulting work that we are doing. It really plays into the branding of it because the just networking piece is amazing. Just the people that I'm meeting the podcast, either as a guest or the people who are coming to my channel as a guest. And this relationship we are creating, Brian, I mean, this is our fifth, sixth topic, almost my best friend now. So it plays a good for the networking also. It plays a huge role.
Yeah. No, that and it's funny. One of my coworkers likes to say, the old way of closing a deal was playing golf with somebody.
Yeah.
Today's age, it's going on each other's podcasts, right? It's funny. It's a different dynamic, and it's kind of an intimate experience.
Yeah.
And so that's really an interesting thing. And if you think about it, people do business with who they know and they trust, right? This is kind of a way of doing that. It's really interesting. So for you, yeah, tell me a little bit more in terms, and really tell our audience. So what you're doing, what you're helping these companies do, right? You're trying to take something like mining, which when I think of it, yeah, cryptocurrency, but also I think of guys, swinging, the hammers and the coal mines, and with the goggles, everything else is covered in ash and all whatever. So I think of, sustainability mining. It's kind of a strange concept if I think about it, because I'm like, it doesn't seem like how would you even do that, right? That's just me, the common person. So explain to me like what you're doing, how you're helping these companies figure out and find ways to be more sustainable. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So we help them on three pillars. There's the operational excellence part of things, which has everything to do with the way they are running it. It comes in the play of the mindset, really, how can we improve their operations, the way they are doing business. There's a lot of coaching there. There's one of the tools I'm using is the lean methodology for that. That's one piece. The other piece is that I'm helping them with their project management around decarbonization objectives. How can we reduce our carbon footprint of our operations or our future operations? The third piece is around the communication part of things. For example, improving their external communications. In external and internal, there's a rebranding of their current operations. It more has to do with their community part as well. So the third pillar is more about the rebranding, branding, the image, the perception of the company. Because one thing I'm seeing with the mining companies, anyway, my clients anyway, the one that I deal with, they are doing some amazing work, really, really great work in the communities, the way they are improving the health systems, the education, environment. Well, for example, one of my clients was they are going full renewable for their operations, but they're also providing electricity to the community, the town nearby. So basically, this town will be energized, electrified with solar panels and wind turbines. So the third pillar is that let's tell the story, guys. We always talk about the negative. Let's tell the world some of the amazing things we are doing as well. And it's just not all negative. So those are my three pillars of how I'm supporting the mining companies with my firm. The podcast also plays a big role in the other thing I'm trying to develop. It's more about the personal objective, the speaking, my speaking engagements. I go speak a lot in the universities. I coach a lot of high school students as well, because that's the very critical age that they're going to make a choice for their career. And I'm just trying to guys, mining is amazing and we are building the future of the world. Let's join the industry. Let's build this together. And that sense, podcasting is helping me a lot.
Interesting. Now, another thing I wanted to just touch on briefly was kind of the workforce engagement side of things, and how you help leaders in these different companies to kind of aid in that engagement. Can you speak on that at all, and kind of how you approach that in terms of the clarify, develop, empower, and recognize framework?
Yes, sure. It started with this all started when I was an employee in my last job, and the workplace engagement had a very negative connotation with me, because the way it was done, it was everything but the engagement. So it really didn't the workplace engagement really didn't play very terrible connotation with me when I started this. So I said, well, this thing can be done properly, so let's deep dive in how we can improve this. So I came up with this 4-step framework, right? And I am including in my part of my coaching. For example, I'll give an example of my recent project that I coached the frontline leaders, frontline supervisors in the mining operations. And just by bringing these 4 different levels, you got to have a clarity in your vision. You got to train your people. Then once you train these people, you got to let them develop the outcome. And the 4th thing, and that's the thing that most people are missing, is the recognize, the thumbs up, tell you are doing a good job. And just by bringing those 4 levers to 4 steps to my supervisors, my frontline leaders I was coaching, you can already see it is so obvious, but why are we missing these things? Why are we not good at that? And I got a couple ideas on that. The most of the supervisors, when you look at their backgrounds, none of them get real training in the leadership. So I'm just created this 4-step easy thing that we can apply in our day-to-day life.
Wow, man. I mean, yeah, you're bringing a lot of value, man. So, if anybody out there is looking to kind of address some of these things, specific to mining, right? If you're looking for ways to become more sustainable, you're looking for ways to increase employee engagement. And what about if somebody would like to have you speak? Where can they go to get more info and contact you? All of that.
Yeah, I made it a one-stop shop for that, just to make it easier. It's alpborainc.com, alpborainc.com. And yeah, if it is for universities or for students, it's free basically. I'm not asking for anything. It's just let's share this message with the new generation. So it's all. It would be my pleasure. So that would be the one-stop shop. The other thing, Brian, that's kind of, you can ask this question also, like, workplace engagement, right? You talk about that just now. Why mining, right? So, I mean, we need workplace engagement in manufacturing and oil and gas and pretty much anywhere. So it goes back to really the passion. I work in the mining industry since day one out of school, and it really represents the American dream for me. I'm a Turkish. I came from Turkey, so first generation immigrant, and the mining industry really allowed us to achieve what we want to achieve as a family. So this is also my way to pay back. If I'm staying in the industry that I love, I think that's a very great industry, and if you can help it on the way, why not? It will be a win-win.
Yeah, win-win, 100%. Well, last question for you. What is it that I can do and the people around us can do when it comes to sustainability and mining? I don't know anything about mining. I don't know how. Right? How is it that we actually make an impact?
I put that call to action in a 9-minute video. It's on YouTube. It's TEDx talk. Honestly, not to promote the talk, but I think there's a whole storytelling of what we can do as a non-mining people. And in a nutshell, it was to ask where the materials come from. You're gonna buy a new Tesla, let's say, Brian. I'd be very curious to see. Just ask what kind of metals were used in there and how they were sourced. What were their carbon footprints? Not because your Tesla is fuel-free that it is carbon-friendly necessarily. So that's I think that the TEDx talk was really helped me to give that message, because everything you touch, there's mining involved. We say if you eat, you're part of the agriculture, and but the mining is part of everything. It's in everything you touch. If it's not grown, it's mined. That's the famous saying.
Well, yeah, and not to give away too much, but yeah, I your point about, hey, the consumers were the ones who make the biggest impact, right? So if we're asking these questions and kind of forcing these companies to think about these types of things, it will lead to a better impact. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So we'll make sure to put a link in here to your TED Talk, which I thought was awesome. Just 9 minutes, won't take you long, but a great message in there. So yeah, Alp, man, thank you so much for taking the time today to sit and talk and have this conversation. We'll also have your contact info in here, so if anybody's interested in talking to him a little more about what he's doing and if he can help your company, please reach out. With that, have a great day, guys. Tune in for another new episode coming shortly. And make sure you like and subscribe to support the show if you're getting any value out of it. Thank you so much. Take care.